Oh, there I go. There I go. Hello, are you there? Uh, oh, there. Oh, okay, okay, okay. I got it now. You know, every time you try to come on professionally, they always messing with your knobs and all the things. How y'all doing? It's been a minute. I didn't come on for a couple of days. Just catching up on some paperwork and some other things. But I always try to be consistent and making sure that I do the best of the 757 Community Talk Show each and every day. I mean, the days that I'm supposed to be on, but I try not to miss coming on from 3 till 6. First 2 hours is the frequency distribution with yours truly, Captain 85, and bringing you the latest and greatest music on the planet, the biggest variety of music, all in one spot, giving you an opportunity to listen to some music that you might have grew up with and introduce you to some new artists. And most of all, I play a lot of the 757 artists. And people might say, well, everybody play it. No, no, they only play a few of the 757 artists, if any. But I'm dedicated to make sure that our community get the recognition that they deserve. We have a lot of great talent here, a lot of great talent, from rappers to R&B, gospel singers, you name it, country, blues. It we invented it all anyway. So stop getting it twisted. It's our music, But everybody wanted to come on board and say, hey, well, that we created that, we created that. I'm not talking about creativity. We was born with it. We was born with music in our spirit because that's what God gave us to communicate with him. So we could sing praises and praise the love for the creator. So when we get it twisted thinking it's just something that you picked up, no, it keeps you spiritually connected with the creator. And that's why the enemy is always trying to create music to destroy our community. It's up to us to make sure that our young people get to understand what music is all about and have a great, great career if they choose to go down that path. Music doesn't have to be negative. Negative, the scripture says, and I'm not one to quote scripture, or I'm not a preacher, but it's in my spirit. Whatever a man thinketh is what a man becomes. Look around. Look around with all the turmoil we are having in our community. The turmoil comes because our future generation, our youth, it's thinking of negative stuff and doing negative things. It's a domino effect. It's a law of science. We have to educate and always communicate to make sure that our future generation, and like I tell, one of my posters I did back in the day, I came for the children. I didn't come just to do things. I came for the future generation to protect them. And what are we going to do to protect her? The future generation, the future wife of your son, if you have children, or your niece or nephew. We all got those. If you got brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, what are we going to do to protect Mother Earth and the young ladies of this planet that brings forth life? But first of all, we must understand that a woman cannot raise a child by themselves because a child has two personalities and traits. It has its mother and its father's traits. So most of the time, to me, and if I research it, it probably will say the same thing. One hungers for the other attention. Children looks to see who may have created them and brought them in the world. And we lack them. We take that from them. Emotionally, it affects the way they grow up. Because it was two parents that brought them in the world, or two people that brought them in the world, however you want to say it. But young people have to be nourished. They have to be loved. But when we are in relationships with each other and it doesn't work out, we strike back at each other, hurting the child. How is it that you can look at a child and not see a smile on their face? If it's a boy or girl, whatever problems that you're facing with the parents, y'all should be able to sit down and work it out, or seek professional help to work it out. I'm not a psychiatrist either. I'm just a person that's always been around children most of his life. Even when I was a child, I had nieces and nephews because my oldest brother, wife had passed away, and she knew with her condition, she had already made out a will that she wanted my mother, or his mother, which is my mother, to take care and raise her 3 children. So with part of that, they came from New York down here when they was children. And now they're grown adults and doing very well. We have to protect our future generation. It seems like now everything that's going on in the world look like, it's chaos, havoc. And what are we supposed to do if we don't find ways to communicate with our young generation? What are we going to do? The most precious resource on the planet is children. That's what Jesus said. He said, if anyone touches a hair on this little one head will offend me. And you would rather have a millstone cast about your neck and you cast in the midst of the sea. Are we not protecting our future generation? Just reported on the news yesterday that young people in elementary school are walking around throwing gang signs, being bullied. What are we going to do? Are we going to sit on the sideline and continue to make excuses for laws that should be protecting our future generation? It is up to all of us to keep a watchful eye, and let our children know that if something is wrong, that we must come together and protect them. This is everybody's responsibility as an adult. And if you got children that are bullying other people's children, you must call that parent up before it escalates and tell them, hey, what's going on? We got to talk. When my child was in school and being bullied, that's what I did. Because there's steps and procedures that you must take to protect your child and also the parent-child that's being the bully. And that's to call each other up and have a neutral meeting somewhere and talk between you and the other parent. It should not have to escalate that you call in the police, should not escalate going to the school until all other resources are exhausted, meaning you done did everything you can to talk to the parent to make sure that they understand you're not going to tolerate their child bullying your child. And I know sometimes parents get a little hype. That's why you always call a mutual setting and sit down and talk, just the parents, not with the child. Because everybody gets heated when you say, that's my child. They ain't doing that. Okay. You ain't with your child when they're at school. You ain't with your child when they're at home alone. And you ain't with your child when they're on their cell phone, if they have one, or their computer. It is your job to sit and listen. It might be hard, but it's fair. Sit down and talk. You was a child one time. So when parents sit there and say, my child, why don't you step back into when you was a child? Step back to when you were a child. And I'm pretty sure it'll reflect that somebody tried to bully you. And I know you might have told your parents, and they said, well, if there was somebody's bothering you in school, you better beat them up. And some parents do that. But I was brought up in a different environment. My mother told me if I got sent home for fighting or anything, she was going to turn my butt up again. She didn't want to hear why you were fighting. That's the way I was brought up. And did my mother love me? Of course she did. I used to think about it when I was a child, when I was 7 and 8, 9 years old. I used to say, ask the question, my spirit would say, if you got in a fight with one or more people, are you equipped to win the fight or the battle? So in my mind, I created, if I had to fight 100 people, would I win the battle physically? 8 or 9? Nah, probably wouldn't. So I had to come up with a way to protect myself. And that was, I used to figure out a way. Why would I want to fight somebody, or why would somebody want to fight me? So just like anything else, video games that they have today, any type of training, as a kid, the scenario was to me, how would I win if I had to fight 100 men or kids, teenagers? How would I win? The possibility when I will only win about 60 or 70 pounds, I wouldn't have made it. But what I came up with is learning that through keeping my mouth closed, I probably wouldn't get in a fight, because that's the way my mother trained us. If people don't like you, they will fight you, they will hurt you. So what you do is when you go to school, keep your mouth closed. Don't argue with nobody, and don't hang around with people that create problems. in elementary school, because I went to Brightening in Portsmouth, on Portsmouth Boulevard, but back in the day it was called Gospel Road before they changed it. I went to the early Brightening School and then to the new Brightening School. The early Brightening School I walked to, and sometimes kids would tease me. And I know when my mother told me to get my clothes together so I wouldn't, lay them out at night. And when I woke up in the morning and I didn't have my socks. And my mom said, I'm not going to help you look for them because I told you last night to get your clothes, your clean clothes, and put them up so you would have them after you got your bath. You could put them on. And I didn't do it. So what did my mother do? She gave me a pair of my sister Bobby socks. Yep. I had to go to school with my sister's Bobby socks on. Oh, yeah, all the way up to my kneecap. Yeah, buddy. And back in the day, when you didn't have a lot of money, the shoes we had to wear were called bungo shoes. Oh, those are black and white shoes that they have today. But back in the day, they were called bungo shoes because they were black and white with the red bottoms to it. And just imagine during the springtime, this time of the year, you had to walk to school when it was warm with shorts on and your sister's Bobby socks. Man. And you walking with the other kids in the neighborhood and they teasing you all the way down the street. You got on your sister Bobby socks. He got on his sister's Bobby socks. And you couldn't go into school when you got there. You had to wait till the bell ring. Then everybody go in. And everybody like, hey, he got his sister's Bobby socks on. And it wasn't a good feeling. So just imagine your child today being bullied in school. That's what I grew up with. And I would never let my children catch the bus. Every morning, I would take them, or my wife would take them to school, and we'll pick them up. It was never that when they was growing up to catch the bus, because I know I got a temper, and other people, our children, parents got tempers too. But if I take them and pick them up, I know what they did or didn't do. And what they did in school, if the teacher or the principal didn't send something, a note home, you don't know what your children are doing. This is why it's important for every parent to go to PTA meetings. And most of the time I didn't go with most of my kids because, of course, I'm a DJ. And being a DJ and managing clubs, my evening started early. So my wife would go on occasions. And I think at the end of my two youngest young boys that I was able to attend a lot of PTA meetings. My wife, she served on the PTA board. So it was a little different day and time. But when going to PTA meetings, you find out things about what your child done in school. You find out if they're obeying the teacher, if they're doing their homework. This is what a PTA meeting is for. Where you get to sit and talk to his teacher one-on-one, and then they bring over your child for those that went to a PTA meeting, and then all three of y'all are sitting there talking to find out what needs to be done to get his grades up, what needs to be done with his attitude. We should not be today waiting before we get a note from school When you get to the principal office, you already done escalated too far. We, as parents, guardians of the angels that God has allowed to come to earth to be born as humans, or those that he let return back to earth, we have a very, very important job, and that is taking care of our youth, our children. I know some people may not agree. They little adults. Yeah. That's why they're getting bullied. Because the other adult said, I'm gonna be the parent. I'm gonna bully you. I'm gonna chastise you. We have to protect our future generation at all costs. Male, female, regardless of what gender. I don't want to get into that sex thing. There's too many things going on to destroy our foundation of what God said. Read your book. If you believe in scripture, read your book. I didn't make you, and you didn't make me. And I ain't worrying about your sex as long as you ain't trying to sex with me. That's a private issue. But what we must understand is that we have a responsibility to our future generation to protect them. With technology the way it is, internet is a great thing, and it's also a thing that can destroy the mental health of youth. Kids are being bullied at school. Kids are being bullied on the playground. And they're being bullied on the internet. Everybody got feelings. Every child has feelings. It is up to us to make sure that we protect those feelings. Mental health is now the major illness in the land. The major. That's some war. That's a mental war going on. Mental war going on. You can't even watch TV news today. And I watch it religiously. From 4:30 in the morning, to 12, and from 12, it comes back on at 3 o'clock. Negative, negative, negative. What are we going to do? And who's at the top of the list? Who's the star of the movie? Our kids. The good ones and the bad ones. The good, the bad, and the ugly, should they say. We are responsible for our children. And if you don't believe me, sometime maybe if you sit down and talk to your children and stop making them adults, you'll find out they are afraid. But they ain't gonna tell you if you don't ask them. Children commit suicide. Then it's too late. Children take guns to school, shoot teachers, shoot students. And we okay with that? We okay with that? With all the rhetoric going on in politics, are we okay with what's going on? We pointing fingers all over the place. But as the late, great Michael Jackson, the pop singer, the king of pop, what did he say? It's the man in the mirror. Why he say that? Because you are reflecting your reflection, your spirit is housed in your body. You can't even walk around on earth in spirit unless you have a human body. But they're changing that too. They're changing that too with artificial intelligence, robotics. Don't you know that they even got a way to take your spirit before you pass away from death and put it on a chip and insert it in robotics? Stay abreast of what's going on, people. When they're talking about defunding the police, why? It's too expensive for police officers. Pretty soon, I'll say in the next year or two, that money is going to go towards robotics. Robots. They just do a little bit at a time so you get comfortable seeing robots. And you won't be able to escape. And they don't have to kill you. But they can detain you because you can't beat a robot. You won't be able to just shoot at him and he can't shoot back and get you round a corner, round a curve, through a brick wall. He will have the power to take you alive. We take things for granted for one simple reason. It's because we just think everything's a video game. And our young people are finding out it's not just a video game. It's not just a video game. We have to come together and find a solution. And the solution is, let's talk to our kids. Not in front of other people, not in front of their sisters or brothers. Talk to them individually. And then maybe you can talk collectively. Because each one have feelings. Each one don't want the other one to know that they're afraid. The other one don't want to know I'm a bully. All these things I learned when I was going to school as a kid in elementary school. And because I tell people that I was put in a special education class when I passed to the 3rd grade. I stayed in the 3rd grade for less than a week. They took me out to 3rd grade and put me in a special education class. And when I went to that class, the teacher asked me, "Do you know why you're in my class?" I said, "No, ma'am." They said that you can't read. Okay. I know I failed the 1st grade. Then I passed to the 2nd grade. But those books was, "Come, Sally, come. Have you seen Dick? Where is Tom? Wait, here comes Spot. Run, Spot, run." I can read it because I'm memorized things. And I'm 71. So the books they gave us back then was very, very easy to read. So that teacher, who was one of my great teachers, her name was Miss Overton. And she had called me to the board to solve a problem. And I did it. And she said, "Okay, do the next one." And I did that. She said, "Do the next ones until you can't do them anymore." And I did. And she said, after that, she said, "Go sit down." And then after the other kids went up, and she called me back up to the desk and she said, "Vaughn, how did you know how to do that?" I said, "I practice every night. I do my work." She said, "I don't know why they got you in my class, but from the things that you have done, you shouldn't be in here. But if you promise me one thing, I say, yes, ma'am. She says, if you do the work I give you, and don't be afraid to come and ask me for help, I promise you, I will get you out my class into a regular class. I said, okay. Like I tell people when I was growing up, I didn't like to be challenged. If you tell me I can't do something, my mind automatically goes to work to find the solution because it's only a problem. And if there's a problem, that means there is an answer to it. Today, it's the same thing. I look at things that are going on in the community around when I get a job. I figure out how to improve what I'm doing. And some people didn't like it because when I did, you know, some people lost their job when I became a truck driver. I could deliver all the one guy didn't come in, and he had 30 something, 32 to 33 stops. I left at 7 o'clock, taking those orders to the people, and I came back at 11 something. And the guy said, "What happened? Did you lose the clipboard, or what happened? Why are you back?" I said, "I'm finished." He said, "What?" I said, "I'm finished." He said, "You finished all 33 stops? You knew where they were?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, did they give you any money in checks or something?" I said, "Yes, sir, I got that." He said, "Give me your clipboard and the money and stuff, and clean out the truck. I'm gonna send you out on another run." Okay. When I came back, the other three bosses that owned the company came out and says, "How did you get done so fast? Did you have somebody to help you?" I said, "No, that's the way I work." And they was very upset because the guy that ran that run, which they call a run, didn't come to work, and they were cursing and, oh man, I'm like, I done did something wrong. And what happened is he would leave 7 in the morning and he didn't get back to 6 at night. So when he came in, they fired him. And most of the drivers there were like, "Oh man, you got the man fired." "How you mean I got the man fired? I just did what I'm getting paid to do." That's what I try to explain to people. I get paid to do what I do. I don't go to work to hold conversations. I didn't go to school to talk to the students in the class while the professor is trying to teach us. The Bible said, "Those that have an ear, let them hear." I hear what people are saying. I can't do anything if I don't get the information, the data. As the computer is called, it's data. If I don't get plugged in, I don't pass. I can't get things done. I work for only one group of people. I don't work for the man that gave me the job. I don't work for the man that signs my check. I work for my family, my kids, my wife. I don't know nobody else to work for. And if I can't keep my job, I can't take care of my responsibilities. So a lot of things that I do, it offends people because I make it look easy. And in the long run, they find out that it's not. We all are endowed with gifts that God gives us. Don't matter what you do, it's in your DNA already. What I did was in my DNA. It's in yours. But first of all, you got to learn how to recognize your gifts. We all fall short of the grace of the Heavenly Father. But when we came in this world, he equipped us with everything we need to be successful on the planet called Mother Earth. We can say and talk and call names, bully, tease. You don't have to steal. You stealing is your pipeline to prison. The prison system is filled up with more black and brown people than any other race. And if you don't pass, your child doesn't pass the 3rd grade, he's on his way to the pipeline to prison. If you're not responsible enough to look after your child, it's too late when you see them like this. It look like, hey, they raising their hands for praise. But see, what you learn in art, that art is whatever it is to the eye of the beholder. You're looking at, oh, he's praising God. But let's take a look at this picture for a moment. Why is the child black? Why is the silhouette black? Because our children always got their hands up when the police say hands up. Hands up. Put your hands up. That's a subliminatory message there. Because our child, when they put their hands up, they going to jail. You going to jail. We must recognize what it takes to make our children understand. Being in a gang is not the solution to any problem. But see, if you're in a gang, everybody's going to jail or to the cemetery. If you're not involved in church, involved in school activities, after school, positive things, learning how to get a skill, learning how to do work without a pen or a computer or calculator, computed in your brain. That's what your brain is. It's a computer. Where do you think the computer came from? Why do you think the computer does the same thing that a human does? Because it's your brain. Only difference is you plug it into a socket to run on a battery, but you run on a battery. The energy that your body puts out. Love yourself for who you are. Don't hate yourself for what others want you to be. Because in the long run, you're in control of your life. Our young people are in control. I just keep pictures up most of the time because I want you to understand it's not about me. It's not about likes. It is about sharing if you understand what I'm talking about. It's about love. It's about the love that we have for one another and the love we have for our children. I love children. I spend a lot of time developing stuff, creating stuff, so they understand it's about them. I got a letter from one of the city recreation department. that said that the city council person send it to the recreation center for some of to see can I, that if they would fund buying some of my comic books or coloring books. And the only thing that the recreation center person said, the only thing Mr. Vaughn want to do is make some money. But I will be addressing that real soon because I will take it to city council because I don't see how a person that's supposed to be head of the recreation center going to send a letter to his boss telling that only thing I want to do is make money. I've been making money all my life. Do I have any? No, because I give it away most of the time in my projects. That's why I might be slow doing things because it takes money. And when working on things to make sure that it's correct, you have to take your time and invest in it properly. Our kids are dying, being bullied, joining gangs because they are scared. When they join gangs, they scared because the gangs are going to jump them, beat them up, and they keep doing it until they say, okay, I'm going to be part of the gang. And then when you're in a gang, you can't get out. Especially when you're not telling your parents, you're not telling people of authority if you're at school. I knew people that's been to jail at the age of 17 and didn't get out till they was 30. Why do you want your child or anybody's child to spend half of their life in prison? And the guy met, he said, I just got out a week ago. And I was telling him about my comic book at the time. And he said, look, man, promise me one thing. I said, if I can. He said, promise me you will never stop what you're doing, trying to keep these young people from going to jail. They don't want to go in that monster. They don't want to be locked up in prison. They don't want to be there. They run around and do all these crazy things. But when you go to prison, you're going to wish 1,000 times. And he said if it wasn't for old head in prison, he would not have made it. He would have not made it. And he said he went in at 17 years old. And he was 30-some years old when I met him. We have to be responsible for what God has given us. A child didn't ask to be born. No child. I didn't even ask to be born. Do you have a child that asked to be born? Or was it you and the person you love saying we want to have children? Or at a young age, indulging in sex, as they call adult activities, before your time? And in my second book, I said the reason why we have the problem in the community is that we used to say it takes a village to raise a child, a village. But today's village is all young people, 13 or 14 years old, having children. We have to do better. We have to engage in our young people in making sure if they can't sustain from sexual activities, making sure that they don't get pregnant, making sure they are not ready for parenting. when they're still a child themselves, with no help sometimes. Foster care. Too many people already, children are already there. We're losing a generation that is not prepared for adulthood, and they're still children. They say a man is still a child until he gets about 23 or 25 years old. He's not mature enough in this day and time. So that leaves the burden on a young girl to raise a baby by herself. When it said it takes a village to raise a child. But today's child is raising the child. We only got so many things that we can do. The other thing we can do, your vote counts. Your vote counts because of one simple reason. The law is passed. If they're 17 years old, 17 years old, and the year just started, so I know from last year, we got a lot of 18-year-olds that are now 18. They were 17 last year. Then we got all the way up to November to get these young people registered to vote. Take them to the city hall, take them to DMV, register them to vote. Who they vote for, you have to give them the information to educate them on who is the right person or party that's going to do the right thing. After going on 4 years of recovering from the first 4 years, and everybody in their mind talk about the economy is messed up. You was paying before President Biden and Harris got in office, you were paying $5 and $6 for eggs. Or did you forget? Did you forget what you was paying for eggs? Did you forget what you was paying for gas? $6 and $7 a gallon. And you still complaining. And you still listening to the person that created all that habit. The president that was before Biden and Harris. And he's still creating havoc today. It is time for you to make a choice and a decision, because this election is dependent on you to make the right choices for a future generation. You've seen the laws change right before your eyes. You're seeing whatever President Biden and Harris can get accomplished, the other side is trying to block it. You saw the State of the Union. You see how they act. The Republicans just sit there. This year, they just say, hey, we ain't going to say nothing. We ain't going to agree or disagree. Don't say nothing. Let's be together on this. Take a look. The same topic keep coming up every State of the Union. Health, Social Security, and funding for projects that they don't want to fund. Streets falling apart. Biden came in here and passed the bill. Now they're building more highways, more construction, more jobs. And the other side, well, we're spending too much money. Well, it ain't your money. It's the people's money. And it ain't the rich people money. It's our money, poor people. Because we are the one that's paying the taxes. They're trying to say we don't pay taxes. Well, I beg to differ. The rich people don't pay no tax because they got money. They can put that money here, there, go buy an island. They can go buy jet planes. They can buy all these houses. And we can barely pay rent. And if we got a mortgage, we can barely pay that. Yeah, Biden might be old, but you got to remember one thing about an old person. They know more than you do. It's the older person that knows more than the younger person. That's why you go to college. Who's teaching? You see young people in there teaching college? Or is it older people? It's time to wake up. Time to stop sitting around pretending. Because when you see that poster, they'll block you on Facebook. That's why I did it at the end. Your vote counts, but they'll block you. Oh, yeah. Y'all keep thinking, I don't know what I'm talking about. They block me a lot. And I ain't even reposting stuff that I post. I repost everybody else's. They changed the way I get into my sites. I have to re-log in and log out. They got so many tricks because they don't want you to know what's right. Until you see this sign right here. You're thinking they praising. There ain't no praise. That's the sign of you going to prison. That's the sign of your child going to prison. That's the sign of your child going to prison. Hands up. Hands up. Guns down. We don't need no gun. We got the most powerful weapon there is. Your brain. Use it. Your brain is the most powerful weapon on the face of this earth. Learn to teach your kids how to use their brain. You don't have to argue with nobody. Keep your lips tight. Keep your mouth closed and your ears open. Keep your mouth closed and use your eyes and your ears. And you'll see a lot. You'll learn a lot. Because that's what I do. I don't argue with people. I ain't trying to lose my life over all these professors, street professors. And all the people that got knowledge, thinking they smarter than the average bear. Talent and gifts come from God. The enemy will try to take it away. Know who you are. Now, I'm not rich. I wish I could be. Oh, the picture behind me? No, that's not my house. That's one of the pictures they give you to put in the backdrop. I just like it because it looked good to me. You know, if you manifest it, if you speak it in existence, I'm going to have a house like that one day with a piano in there. I'm going to learn how to play it. You know, matter of fact, I'm going to hit the lottery tonight. So I know I'm going to have one. Because if you don't speak it in existence, you don't get it. Haven't you got it yet? Look at what you have, because that's what you manifest. The book says, whatever a man thinketh is what he become. Become great. Don't become a prisoner. Don't become a murderer. Become a loving person that God created on the planet called Mother Earth. I hope you share this. I hope you take time and listen. Speed it up. Run it backwards as long as you look at it. I come for one reason. This is the future. I'm just an old man doing the best he can until it's my time to go wherever the Creator sends me. We all have a destiny, and our destiny lies within us. We have the ability to change things, and it's time to start working on changing before it's too late, before we lose a future generation. Give them an opportunity to run the greatest country on the planet, because that's what God gave Moses to bring the Israelites and the Hebrews to. This is your promised land. Stop letting them tell you something different. To the next time we meet, to the next time we greet, thank you for joining me today and listening. Don't forget, it's up to you to remember your vote is the most important vote this year than any time in history. If you want change some of those people that's still in the Congress and Senate. And then when President Biden wins, he will have control to finish what he was sent to do. Until next time, I told you before, I'm only one person. Our future generation is at stake. What are you going to do for her? What are you going to do?